And I think I will. We are live. We are live. We are live. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are here. We are making it work. Des, I'm getting ready to send you the link. If you are camera ready and you want to come up and talk about what you have going on down in your school district, again, you can. If you can't, because you're not camera ready, don't worry about it. You can talk to us from the chat. But
Or
I
you can just choose to not come on camera and have avatar.
yeah, oh yeah, you can do that. You definitely can do that. You definitely can do that. Um, but good morning, everybody. As you can tell from the title, we are here to discuss this school opening situation. Excuse me, 2020. Um, I've been getting a lot of questions about it. I don't know. I'm sure El Teddy, people have been, speaking with him about it. Des, I'm sure you've been getting stuff about it. So let's talk about it. What does it look like? Is it feasible? What do we think is going to happen? What's not going to happen? Let's talk about, our fearless Department of Secretary Education leader and all that she has going on. Hey, good morning, Lady Libra. You said no. Good morning, Lady Libra. Hey, Shakira. Good morning. Good morning. He said, I am not camera ready, nor do I have a real update on my school. Okay, no problem. Then you could just keep, you could just let us, you could just talk from the chat. Again, we know that you are one of our educators / supporters, so we want to give you the opportunity if you had anything you wanted to add to the conversation. But like again, you can always throw it in the chat. If something comes up, you think of something or you hear something. So let's just El Teddy, good morning. Anything you want to
Good
say?
morning, because I you kind of took over the whole, welcome, and I
There
just
we
let you
go. There we go. We are starting already. Go ahead. I'm gonna shut up.
know. I know, right? Good morning, lady. No, I'm joking. God. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We definitely, especially right now, if you remember in some of our previous videos, we often talked about the importance of around the middle of July and that a lot of school districts would start to have plans in place. And while most of them do, they are very fluid because of everything going on in the country with COVID-19 and with some of the spikes that are going on in different hotspots. These things are changing by the minute. As we were doing our research for this broadcast today, there are some things that are changing this morning with school districts that are meeting. I know some school districts are meeting throughout the week, like tomorrow and other days. So I should preface by saying, and I will have really be put in the comments section 3 links that we have that those 3 sites are updating information as quickly as they can as they get it to keep you informed on a state by state basis. But we also always preface, check your state Department of Education. Definitely call check your school district's website, because all of them, most of every almost every single school district I went to, they had a link on school reopenings for 2020, as well as call your individual child's school to see. So you want to do all 3 levels: check the state Department of Education, check your school district's website, as well as call your son or daughter's or non-binary child's school individually to get the most up-to-date information. We are going to disseminate some information today, but nothing should usurp the information that you can get individually from your child's school. Yeah, and we're ready to hit the ground rolling.
Wow. So good morning, everybody. We've had a few people coming in. Rochelle, Mama Six, Shawana. Hold on, I saw somebody else. Caramel Kisses. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Thank you guys for coming on in the room. Schools are opening here in Indianapolis, but they are giving us a learning option. Do you mind expanding on what that means? Oh, e-learning option. My bad. Okay, okay. So you guys would have the option of either having your kids do it virtually
Yeah,
or
and
okay.
most schools are doing that now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be the I'll be the wingman. Really, be I will go through this rapid state by state real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Break it down. All right, let's break it down.
Bring it on. Bring it on down.
Bring it on down. All right, in Alabama, as of June 26th, State's Superintendent Eric Mackey announced that all Alabama public schools would reopen on time.
What? Okay.
However, school districts ultimately have the final say, and schools must provide remote learning options for students who are unable to return to school. I did see some specifics within Alabama. The Jefferson County Schools said that students can choose to participate in-person instruction, remote learning, or virtual learning, which is another form of online instruction. So they can do that. Baldwin County Public Schools students can choose to resume in-person instruction or virtual learning on August 12th. And Mobile County Public Schools says they will announce their plans in mid-July. So they have not announced yet in Mobile County. That's Alabama. In Alaska, yeah, I'm just going to give you the statewide their thing. I'm not going to go through the individual schools. This says Department of Health and Social Services and the Department of Education and Early Development put together a framework called Alaska Smart Start 2020 to guide the reopening of schools across the state. And that framework provides actionable steps for reopening. So there's no definitive plan, but some of the individual school districts have. You can search Alaska Smart Start 2020 to get all of the information with regard to that in Alaska. In Arizona, Governor Doug Ducey has delayed the reopening of in-person instruction until August 17th due to the surges that they're having there.
What state was that again? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
What state was that again? I missed it. I'm sorry.
This is Arizona.
Thank you. Sorry.
So they've delayed in-person instruction until at least August 17th. Because of the surges. Now, schools can choose to begin online instruction earlier if they want, but no in-person classes can begin before that August 17th date. Mesa Unified School District, they said that remote learning will begin on August 4th until it is safe to resume in-person instruction. Tucson Unified School District, Tucson, Unified School District, they said online instruction will begin on August 10th, but students who want in-person learning will be able to transition once it is safe. And Peoria Unified School District said virtual instruction will begin on August 5th, and the first 3 days will be half days to help students acclimate to the completely online learning environment. That's Arizona. Arkansas, Governor Asa Hutchinson has repeatedly said in-person instruction should resume in the fall, but schools need to be ready with a virtual curriculum as well. So that means that they don't have no definitive plan. He's just leaving it up to them. Little Rock School District said students can choose to attend in-person or online for the 2020-21 school year. An updated plan will be announced on July 13th. And that is later this week, right? That's today.
July 14th? Yeah, that's today.
July 13th. It's 13th, today. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So they're going to announce that. I told y'all this stuff is changing, ever changing. That's why I preface by saying check. Springdale School District's students have the option to attend school in person or online. Bentonville Public Schools in-person instruction will resume, but students and teachers should be prepared to switch to online if they get sick. Full-time virtual learning is also an option for students for the fall semester. In California, in a press conference on July 8th, Governor Gavin Newsom said that the health and local education officials will make the final decisions regarding the 2021 school year, which means in the state of California, it is the governor is not making a decision. It is completely up to the individual school districts. In Los Angeles County, they have not made a plan yet. In San Diego Unified School District, the students will resume classes on August 31st and can choose to attend school in person, online, or a combination of both. In Long Beach Unified School District's class will begin on September 1st. The students will be able to choose between in-person instruction and at least one other digital learning option. I do not have any information right now, and let me look at some of my other resources because I know California is a big state and we have a lot of people in the great state of California. And I'm just looking at the resources that I have. I don't know, like I said, since that state is district by district, I would certainly tell you that state more than any other. You need to call your school, the school that where your child belongs. You definitely need to call them because California is just it could change, basically once you cross the border into a new city. So you definitely want to do that. Let me peruse the chat right now because I haven't been perusing the chat. I just wanted to look and see because I know I've been going through a few states. Let me see. I'm going to try to get to all of the states, but I wanted to see if there were any questions about any of the states that I went through thus far. I'm trying to go real fast and give you a rapid snippet of what's going on, but I definitely want to be informative of what is going on. All right, let me go back. Hold on. Let me do like my girl Alexa, lubricate first. All right. In Colorado, according to the Colorado Department of Education's website, the most likely scenario for schools during the 2021 school year includes a mix of remote and in-person learning. Denver Public Schools says in-person instruction is set to resume on August 17th, but students can also choose to participate in completely virtual learning. Jefferson County Public Schools said the students can choose to resume in-person learning or remote learning. Cherry Creek School District says students can resume in-person learning or continue online learning. The district is also a post-COVID-19 model, which means that all normal school systems would resume. In Connecticut, on June 25th, Governor Ned Lamont announced that schools across all districts will be able to resume in-person instruction. New Haven Public Schools is saying that students will have the option to resume in-person instruction or online instruction for the fall of 2020. Bridgeport Public Schools says students will resume in-person instruction in the fall. All in-person instruction. Hartford Public Schools says students have the option to resume in-person instruction in the fall, but are being asked to take a survey to help the district make further decisions. In Delaware, Governor John Carney said at a press conference on July 7th that Delaware's goal is to allow for, quote, as much in-person instruction as possible in a way that is safe, end quote. Secretary of Education Susan Bunting is reviewing a series of recommendations, so no official plan has been released as of yet. Red Clay Consolidated School District in Delaware said no plans have been announced for the upcoming school year, but the district is asking students and families to take a survey by July 13th, which is today, to help them plan. Christina School District, they said there have been no official announcements about the public school system, but they are forthcoming, and no other districts have made decisions as well. In Florida, my home state, Richard Corcoran, Florida's Commissioner of Education, signed an executive order on July 6th requiring all schools to open and provide, quote, provide the full array of services that are required by law, end quote. The order says that remote instruction can happen so long as it allows for interaction with the students' peers and teachers. In Miami-Dade County Public School, the fourth largest school district in the country, Miami-Dade County Public School says students have the option to attend in person or online in August. However, in person will not start until Miami-Dade County is at phase 2 of reopening. Miami-Dade County went back to phase 1 of reopening the county. They were at a I think they were at 2 or 3. They went back to stage 1, which means that as long as they're in phase 1 of the county reopening, there cannot be any in-person school, in-person classes. However, if they get to stage 2, then they will start reopening schools. Certainly, if they get to stage 3, they will schools will be reopened. Broward County, which is the 6th largest school district in the country, Miami-Dade is 4th. They said no official plans have been made as of yet, but the district is asking parents to fill out a questionnaire by July 10th to help them determine what options to make available in the fall. Hillsborough County, which is that Tampa, St. Petersburg area, they said students can choose to participate in virtual or in-person instruction when classes resume on August 10th. In Georgia, the Georgia State Board of Education released guidelines encouraging districts to utilize remote instruction, in-person learning, or a combination of both. Gwinnett County Public Schools are set to begin classes on August 12th and can choose between in-person or virtual instruction. Cobb County, the start of the school year has been delayed until August 17th, and the students can choose between virtual and in-person instruction. And in DeKalb County, no official plans have been made yet, nor in Fulton County. And before I continue further, I find it funny, and we can talk about this in a few minutes, really, B, that a lot of these school districts, instead of doing what it is that they're getting paid for, they're asking for all of this input and questionnaires from people outside of the education and medical field to make lasting decisions, or, you know, make this, help them make decisions on things that are going on. I just find that funny. You know what I'm saying? But we'll keep it moving. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Let me keep it moving. Hold on. Hawaii classes are set to resume on August 4th, and students will be able to receive instruction in person, or online, or through a blended model. In Idaho, Governor Brad Little and Idaho State Board of Education and State Department of Education released a back-to-school framework on July 9th. The framework says the students are likely going to return to in-person instruction in the fall, but schools are also encouraged to prepare virtual and hybrid models of learning. Illinois, the great state of Illinois, on June 23rd, Governor J.B. Pritzker announced his plan to resume in-person instruction for the opening of for the upcoming school year. Schools will be required to mandate face masks, limit gatherings to less than 50 people, maintain social distancing, increase cleaning efforts, and conduct symptom screenings and temperature checks. Chicago Public Schools says they have no official plan as of right now. School District U46, which is a large school district in Chicago, says there is no concrete plan for the beginning of the school year, but Superintendent Tony Sanders announced on July 8th that full-time in-person instruction will likely not resume initially. Subcommittees will continue to develop a hybrid model. Rockford Public Schools says no official plans have been made. In Indiana, in a press conference on July 8th, Governor Eric Holcomb said officials in Indiana will examine factors like the number of COVID-19 hospitalizations and positive cases, as well as the state's testing ability and contract tracing ability when determining whether to open schools. Fort Wayne Community Schools says they don't have a plan. Indianapolis Public Schools says they don't have a plan. And Evansville Vanderburg School Corporation says students will resume in-person instruction on August 5th. But students who need to quarantine and those with health issues will be able to pursue online instruction. In Iowa, on June 25th, education officials in Iowa released guidelines that will allow schools to resume normal activities on July 1st. Social distancing, masks, and routine health checks are not required.
What?
I'm going to repeat that. This is in the great state of Iowa. On June 25th, education officials in Iowa released guidelines that allow schools to resume normal activities on July 1st. Social distancing, masks, and routine health checks are not required.
Wow.
Right. Des Moines Independent Community School District says students can choose to participate in an exclusively online model of instruction from August 26th to October 28th, or they can begin a year begin the year using a hybrid model of in-person and online instruction. Cedar Rapids Community School District says no official plan has been made, and Davenport Community School District says the school year will begin on August 24th, but no official plan has been announced as to what that will look like. In Kansas, Wichita Unified School District says the final plan for the 2021 school year will be released on July 20th, but a preliminary plan announced on June 30th detailed the district's intent to resume in-person instructions. Parents will also have the option to enroll students in online learning. Olathe, or Olath, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, public school says schools and students will resume classes on August 13th or 14th, and parents can choose to enroll them in virtual or in-person instruction. In Shawnee Mission School District, no plans have been made as of yet, but they drafted plans for they are drafting plans for elementary, middle school, and high schools to have in-person instruction. Kentucky, the great state of Kentucky Department of Education has published a series of considerations for schools as they draft their reopening plans. This includes guidance on transportation. I'm not going to go through that. Jefferson County School District, though, has said they have no official plans as of yet, but they will be released by mid-July. Fayette County Public Schools says students are expected to resume in-person instruction during the week of August 24th, but the district launched a survey on July 1st to get more feedback from families. Boone County Schools has said students are expected to return to an in-person model of instruction at the beginning of the 2020 school year, but should also be prepared to participate in a virtual or hybrid model if it is deemed necessary. In Louisiana, I know we got a lot of people down there in Louisiana. Louisiana has said on June 25th that the Louisiana Department of Education released a series of guidelines and resources to help schools reopen for the 2021 school year. The department recommends schools be prepared for in-person, virtual, and hybrid learning scenarios. In Jefferson Parish Public Schools, students are set to resume classes in person on August 6th. But teachers are prepared for the possibility of using hybrid and virtual models as well. East Baton Rouge Parish Public Schools has said students will either begin virtual schools virtually on August 6th with the option to resume in-person instruction through hybrid models on September 9th, or they will start out with hybrid models from the beginning. The hybrid model means the students would receive in-person instruction 2 days a week and virtual instruction 3 days a week. Caddo Parish, Public Schools has said that they have 3 possible plans for reopening. Students might be taking classes virtually, in person, or as a combination of both. But the district has not yet announced the model they plan to use when school starts. In Maine, and I'm going to get through the M's, and then I'm going to take a pause after I get through the M's. I think we'll be like halfway through at the M's. Okay. In Maine, I think that's where I'm at. Yes. The Maine Department of Education has published a framework for schools that are planning to reopen to in-person instruction. Portland Public Schools has said one of 3 possible scenarios will be chosen in August for the students at Portland Public Schools. Students will resume in-person instruction, completely virtual instruction, or a hybrid of the 2. In Lewiston Public Schools, no plan has been made, and in Bangor Public School Department, students are expected to resume in-person instruction in the fall. There's no plan for virtual instruction. In Maryland, I'm not going to read that. Governor Larry Hogan said that Maryland is, quote, not going to take any bullying, and the state is to make the best decision that we can based on the science and what the educators and public health officials say, end quote. In Montgomery County Public Schools in Maryland, no official plan has been made. In Prince George's County, no official plans have been made. In Baltimore County, no official plans have been made. So Maryland is holding out until they figure out what the best scenario is. In Massachusetts, And really, B, I'm sure you might have more information about Maryland. We can talk about that once I get through the M's. Okay.
No problem. Yeah.
In Massachusetts, on June 25th, Jeffrey Riley, the Commissioner of Elementary and Secondary Education in Massachusetts, released guidelines for schools planning to reopen. The guidelines are primarily aimed to help schools prepare for in-person learning, but the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education is requiring schools to plan for hybrid and remote learning. Boston Public Schools does not have an official plan. Springfield Public Schools has no official plans, but the district has said it will create in-person, remote, and hybrid learning models for the students. Worcester Public Schools also has no official plan. In Michigan, on July 8th, Governor Gretchen Whitmer said she is worried about schools reopening during the pandemic and will not send kids back unless it is safe. Whitmer had previously released a series of guidelines June 30th that outlined the minimum health and safety requirements necessary for reopening. Detroit Public School Community District has said students can choose in-person instruction or virtual instruction. Utica Community Schools says students will start the school year with in-person instruction, completely virtual instruction, or a blended model of the two. Dearborn School District Public Schools says they don't have a plan. Minnesota said the Minnesota Department of Health released guidelines for the schools to encourage them to prepare for in-person, virtual, and hybrid plans for reopening. Governor Tim Walz will announce the model that schools should use during the week of July 27th. Anoka Hennepin School District has no official plan. They are waiting for the governor's models to be released, but the district is expected to announce whether they will plan to utilize an in-person, virtual, or hybrid model by the week of July 27th. St. Paul Public Schools says no official plan has been released. They are also waiting. However, they said students are expected to resume classes on September 8th or 10th in an in-person, virtual, or hybrid format. Minneapolis Public Schools has no official plans either. Mississippi. At a briefing on July 8th, Governor Tate Reeves said he is committed to reopening schools in a safe way this fall. DeSoto County School District said students are set to resume in-person classes on August 6th, but parents can also choose to enroll their kids in online instruction. Jackson Public Schools, no official plan has been announced for the upcoming school year, but Superintendent Eric Green has said the final plan will be released before July 17th. Rankin County School District has no official plan as of yet, but they are supposed to be released before July 17th. In Missouri, on July 9th, Governor Mike Parson, the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and the Department of Health and Senior Services released guidelines for school reopenings across the state. The guidelines include recommendations for screening, social distancing, and face coverings. Springfield Public School District says students are set to begin school on August 24th, but no official plan has been released detailing what that will look like. The district is supposed to announce their reopening strategy at the end of July. St. Louis Public Schools says no official announcement has been made yet. And Rockwood School District says students can choose to take classes in person or online. A more detailed plan will be released on August 20th. And this is the last in Montana. Governor Steve Bullock announced reopening for school districts will have 3 phases. His plan says schools may reopen for in-person schooling, but it ultimately depends on a given community's circumstances. Billings Elementary School District, Montana's largest district, is reopening according to Superintendent Greg Ufams. Although the plan for in-person instruction has yet to be released. Great Falls Elementary School District has not issued an official statement regarding their reopening either. And in Missoula County, the district announced its intentions to reopen schools for in-person, face-to-face instruction only for the 2021 school year. That is up to the M's.
Okay. The only caveat I wanted to add with Maryland, when you were reading Prince George's County and Montgomery County, sort of similar to what happened with Dade County, when the whole state of Maryland was doing their reopening plans, Prince George's County and Montgomery County, because their numbers were so high, they didn't follow the state plan. They were delayed. So the state was in phase 3 like 2 weeks before those two counties. So it didn't surprise me that those counties had not made a definitive decision, because their numbers are still very high. And they didn't even, their phase 3 didn't even start until very recently. So we only went up to M. We'll do the rest before we, close out the show. And if you have questions about specific states or you missed a state, we can always go back. The links are in the description box. So what El Teddy is reading is in the description box. And like we said, but we had a lot of people that kind of came in while you were reading. I just want to say, make sure that you are updating your specific county, either calling the school directly or checking your school board website. I know my school district, they tweet. So even if you follow them on Twitter, whatever they're releasing to the press, they release on Twitter. So there are many ways to get the updated information. Raphael asked about colleges. We're not necessarily focusing on colleges today, but I would give the same information. I would check directly with your school, because colleges, they're individual even more so than school districts. So the college on one side of town might be doing one thing, and right down the street, the college right down the street might be doing something totally different. So we'd be here all day trying to go college by college. But I would say the same thing. Definitely check with your school regularly. And if they do have any type of social media presence, I would follow that. I would follow them on whatever social media platform that they're using, because that's probably where you're going to get the fastest, most up-to-date information, especially when you're talking about a college campus. So how do we feel about what we've just read, Elton?
The shocking one was the couple ones that said, "Oh, we're doing in person, whether or not you like," or the one that said, "No mask, no social distance, none of that is required." I think that was what, Iowa.
It was Iowa or Idaho.
Idaho. What are the eyes?
What are the eyes?
What are the eyes? I was
like, what? But I bet their numbers are really, really low. But just because your numbers are low does not mean that they won't go up. Like, it's crazy.
The other part that I want to talk about is they keep mentioning the hybrid and virtual and online. However, that sounds really easy, but I just want to introduce a piece of it that is going unnoticed. Okay, a piece of it is when you talk about, for example, Really B. Really B is a classroom teacher. She is a in the classroom, in-person teacher. Now, most states have what we call virtual learning. And that's an entire separate group of teachers. Some teachers work both, but they can't, it's kind of hard, because for Really B, who's a regular classroom teacher, she would have to do her in-class instruction. And then if she wanted to, maybe as a side hustle, maybe during after work hours, do some online virtual instruction, she would have to do that outside of her regular classroom. That's not and I want to talk about how what she was doing during the spring, where she was online, providing online instruction for her students. That's different from the virtual learning classroom, because there are dedicated teachers for that. And so the point that I'm making is, I don't know that most states' virtual learning has the capacity or the amount of instructors to facilitate the amount of students that would probably be wanting to do online instruction. Because when you say virtual and online, now you're talking about having teachers that group of teachers that do the in-person, and then having dedicated instructors for the online. So I think that's a part that, even if you say blended, what does that blended mean? Does that blended means it'll be some courses are with a teacher like a Really B, and then some courses are with virtual learning? Or is it going to be more so of what we saw in the spring with what Really B was doing, where the in-school teachers are going to be doing both in-person instruction as well as online instruction, which is a bit much. And I'm curious to see how the teachers unions or what they're doing and saying about that, because I don't know, and I don't mean to take up, but I know they were talking about little things like having the space to facilitate this, but do you have the manpower to facilitate what you are trying to put out there? And that's something that I don't think has been addressed enough.
And honestly, I actually was thinking about that as well. I was, as you were reading, and I was hearing where there are school districts that have the option. That was actually one of the things in my mind. I was thinking, I was like, so when you're giving a parent an option, which I don't have a problem with that part of it, but how are the schools keeping count of the number? Like, is it a permanent decision? If you say, hey, I'm going to keep my child home, are you obligated to do that for the semester? Can you send your kid to school when you feel comfortable? Because, like I know, there's a whole process that goes into a head count as far as school lunches, as far as personnel, as far as even with the social distancing. We need to know how many kids are going to be in the building every day to figure out. There's no perfect plan for social distancing, but to as much as possible. And then the teacher side of it. As an educator, am I responsible for teaching classes all day and still providing an online instruction? Are you going to put a closed circuit TV in my classroom and kids can just log into that so that they can log in? Like, what is that going to look like? And I know that's going to change state by state as well. But you're right. Then it becomes an issue of the union, and people can say what they want to say and complain what they want to, and complain how they want to complain. But as someone who went through that for the last 6 months, yes, it may seem like, because I had somebody say that in my chat earlier I believe it was last week, talking about teachers not doing anything and how they had to teach their kids while the teachers sat at home and got paid. And I was like, whoa. It may not look like the same because I didn't get up out of my bed, leave my house, and go sit for 8 hours in a building, but I was still responsible for grading papers. I know, like Des, he was still responsible for doing his IEP meetings. He was still responsible for writing lesson plans with accommodations. I was still responsible for lesson plans. I understand it didn't look the same, but I don't want anybody to think that teachers just sat at home and didn't do nothing for the last, 6 months, because that ain't what it was. Or 4
I want
months.
to talk about also, and I saw this when I was watching Meet the Press yesterday, and they had Alberto Cavallo on there, who is the Miami-Dade County Public Schools district. He talked about the funding that's not there, and he said that back when we had the recession of 08, 09, the federal government allocated 113 billion with a B, 113 billion for education across the country. Because of that, right now they've only allocated 15 billion, which is a dramatic, that's a dramatic shortage of, things, monies, and we probably arguably need more money right now than what we had then. So
I know, to answer your question, caramel kisses, and I think somebody
you
else
ain't even tell me you was opening it up. I got a big old box that I need to open it right next to me.
No, but that's because I didn't want the comments to be covering our faces. But I can't really see the box. I can't really see it. No, the answer to your question is I nobody asked me. I mean, I can't speak again. I think somebody said that the union in her district, the union sent out a questionnaire. But let me be clear. Just because it's coming from the union doesn't mean that the school has to take any of that into consideration. That's just the union asking where teachers are, how teachers feel about it. The funding piece of it, I know in the state of Maryland, our governor, they passed a bill, maybe a couple of weeks ago now, sending $250 million of additional funding to the school districts. And it's supposed to be for the virtual learning and what schools are going to have to do to get ready to bring kids back in the fall, as far as, whatever that's going to look like. But El Teddy knows, like I know, that $250 million, it sounds good. But by the time it trickles down from the state level to the district level to the individual school level, it's not going to be that impactful. So, yeah.
Also, you gotta consider the fact that even as we were reading certain openings and things like that for in person, if your individual area starts to spike and your county or city officials say that you're going back to a phase one, you cannot have in-person school at that point.
Right.
You get that's going to be, null and void. So all of that is still subject to change based on the numbers and based on, excuse me, what we see going on. I know a lot of individuals are saying, you hear people saying, well, maybe just do it for elementary students because they're less susceptible for spreading the disease. But the thing about it is, you got to think that you still have office staff, you still have instructors, you still have clerical, you still have custodial, you have the bus drivers, you have the school crosswalk people. There are so many arms to education and what that looks like. We haven't even begun to discuss the fact that people are, I think a comment, somebody said people are already thinking about athletics at a time like this when you know weird. That's, I know it's weird to think, but people are already, because would be the time that football would start going back, cross country, marching band, and so we're getting on that time, and people are wanting to know, because a lot of people, frankly, just want these kids out the house. They're like, listen, I'm tired of looking at you, you tired of looking at me, and I need you out of my house. But it's just not, it may just not be feasible. It just may not be feasible, and we just may have to hold tight, just a little while longer. I know that's easy for me to say, but
well, and the thing is, I get it. Like, I don't want any parent to think that we don't understand and we don't get it. We get it. But at the end of the day, it just may not be feasible. And I think somebody was saying in the chat earlier about just the safety issue of it. I'm not, someone said that a family member of theirs is a teacher and they're scared to death, a cousin. Let me say this to you, and this may sound very flippant of what I'm getting ready to say. I'm not worried. I'm in the classroom. I'm still in a classroom setting. I'm not worried, and I'm gonna tell you why I'm not worried. I'm not worried because all it's gonna take is that first teacher to show up and test positive, or like El Teddy said, custodial staff, or cafeteria worker, or office staff, or administrator. All it's going to take is for that first person, and they're going to shut the whole daggone thing down. Because in areas, especially in areas where the numbers are still going up, it's really negligent to say this is what we should be doing no matter what.
That's a good question, Rochelle. That's a very good question.
What about substitute teachers? They go to multiple schools. If a school has a case, how hard will it be? How hard will it be to get subs to come for your school? This has not been factored into the plan. Well, somebody asked earlier in the chat, have they asked teachers if they're planning on coming? I think that's an excellent question, because the reality is, I know a whole lot of teachers who are like, I'm not going.
And I'll be honest with you, I know a lot of teachers that have applied for and have gotten out of in-person. They applied for virtual school to become one of those. Remember how I talked about different groups of teachers? I have several friends who have said, nope, not doing the in-person no more. I will do virtual. My certification is good. If I need to go back, I will. But as of right now, I'm doing virtual school, and that's it. I'll put in my leave of absence because I'm not going back in that place.
Didn't I have that conversation? I said, didn't I have that conversation with you? I'm gonna be perfectly candid. That's one of the things that's on my to-do list for this week, is to look into a virtual learning program, some homeschooling programs. I think Mama Six, I think it's Mama Six. She was in the chat earlier. I don't know if she's still in here or not. She said that I think it was her. She said that the homeschooling inquiries that they've gotten, I think she's part of the homeschooling community in her district, have skyrocketed because so many parents are looking into doing homeschooling right now. And I don't blame them. I honestly can't blame any parent who says, and again, that goes back to, are the school districts taking any of that into consideration? Let's look at it from a legal standpoint. you're legally obligated, you're legally obligated to send your kids to school, right? And if you don't, they could take you to truancy court. There could be that's called educational neglect. Like there's a whole lot of things. Are they going to relax those rules if you decide that you don't feel safe? If you live in a district where your school is not offering the option of virtual school, but you don't feel safe, like are they relaxing those rules? Are they you know what I mean? Like it's so many different levels and factors to all of this that no one is addressing. Everybody, like you said, El Teddy, I looked at an interview with Betsy DeVos, and all she kept saying was, kids need to go back to school. Kids need to go back to school. Kids need to go back to school. But she couldn't address any of the questions.
I don't want to think, and I don't want people to think that we're not addressing that arm of it. The thing about it is, with the threats that they are making of federal funding, the lion's share of the funding for public school does not come from the federal government at all. I think the federal government, in most cases, is less than 10%. The funds that a school district gets from the federal government is less than 10%. Somewhere around most school districts about 8-9%, but that's about it. Most of the funds come because of your property taxes, or taxes within the state, or however that state allocates their taxes, the state and local government. So and that's why this thing about in-person and virtual is important, because schools are allocated funds based on how many students are sitting in that building. Because there's I know in a lot of states they have a certain date during the school year. On this date or this week, we are taking attendance, and when we take attendance at that school that week, it's usually, for some states it's in September, some states it's in October, but they try to give you a chance for everybody to get there. When they take attendance that week at school, that is their snapshot of how many students are at that school. And the state says, okay, we're going to allocate funds to that school based on this number. And so if you got school districts that are now saying, okay, half, or I'm not going to even say half, that might be a big number, but a quarter, which is not out of the realm of possibility, of the students are now completely virtual, that's a lot of money that is going to be taken from the school site to now whatever that virtual online learning is, and how that goes. Because like I said, some states have dedicated virtual schools that are virtual public schools that are separate from the school districts. So that's a interesting part of it too. But I don't want you to think that we're neglecting the threats that your president of these yet to be United States was making. Now, that debacle that happened on CNN yesterday with Betsy DeVos just further, proliferates the notion that she has no clue what she's doing. She never should have been there anyway. But we're not going to even go into all of that. I'm not going to even go into Lord. let me reserve my voice so I can do the rest of these good states.
Okay, so we have welcome everybody. Hey, Belize. Kaci Burns said teachers that have children that are school age, if they don't get to do virtual school, won't have a choice for their child to do virtual because they'll be at school teaching. And the reality though, Kaci, is that's a problem that a lot of parents are dealing with right now. That's a whole nother aspect that we're not even going to go down that rabbit hole. But in the areas where people are back at work, if school doesn't go back, what do they do with their kids? So that's a whole, that's not just a teacher issue. That's everybody.
Even when they talk about the hybrid, we read some school districts where they said they would do 2 days on, 3 days off, or vice versa. But still, that doesn't work with someone's work schedule when that parent is working 5 days a week. Absolutely. And then what are your options for your child? Because in terms of childcare, because then you got to think about, okay, am I putting my child at danger if I send them to a facility that does childcare? Or, or then you got to start screening. Well, who's going to keep my child? Do you send them to a relative? Do you find a babysitter? That's but we I don't know that we have time
Yeah,
to
that's a
go
whole
down
other
that
rabbit
rabbit.
hole.
That's a whole nother ballgame. But these are
Yeah,
all of the things that have to be considered when you talk about that. And then just even the part that I told you, the superintendent of Fairfax Public Schools was saying, even when we talk about in school, what does that look like? Because if the CDC is saying that there needs to be 6 feet, things like that, I heard another school superintendent say, well, we can mitigate that with the masks. And so if we require masks, then we don't have to do 6 feet. And I was like, now that is counter to, what is that? No school in America has the facilities to be 6 feet apart for the amount of that schools
no,
weren't built for that.
no. And
Schools
I
were
know,
built for about 18 inches. I know in the state of Florida, it was 18 inches. There should be at least 18 inches between, and that's how much square footage a school has to have. That's how they limit the amount of students that can be at a school with the square footage and stuff like that. Don't ask me why I know all of that stupid information, but I do. I learned it at one point. I don't know.
yeah, but that's I know my school. I spoke with some people at my school, and I know that they've ordered masks. Um, I guess and in anticipation, excuse me, in anticipation for what it's going to look like when we come back in the building. Now, of course, this was about a month ago that I had this conversation, but that was part of what it was. It was in anticipation of what is it that we're going to be doing when we get back to school. So they ordered masks, but I know for myself, when I just went on vacation, and there were times when I had my mask on for, when we went when we went, certain places, and I would have my mask on for an extended period of time. It was hard. It was exhausting. It was uncomfortable. It was hot. I can only imagine trying to do that for 8 hours and teach and talk, and me understand the kids and the kids understand me. And I'm not saying it's impossible, and I don't want to sound like I'm whining. All I'm saying is these are all things that we're going to have to figure out.
I'm gonna give you a perfect example now of how this is difficult. Now, I taught in Miami-Dade County Public Schools District for a long time. I taught ESL, or ESOL as we call it, but ESL, English Speakers of Other Languages. I'm sorry, English as a secondary language. Excuse me.
Yeah, ESOL.
But anyway, when you teach instruction for students that are learning English, part of it is them seeing how the mouth moves, and seeing how lip placement, teeth placement, and different things. That's a part of the instruction in that. And so trying to, I'm just thinking about something as small as that, and that's something that people that you really think about that. But that is important because you could lose out on instruction. And the reason I say that with the ESL students is, the older a child gets, the less likely they truly are to pick up a second language. The younger a person is, the more apt they are cognitively and even physiologically with the formation of the muscles around linguistics. You are to learn another language. But that's just a little part right there that I'm just, thinking about. And even when you talk about really be them talking about them doing it virtually, where they have remote, where they're showing your image to, virtually. Do they have the means by which to do that? Do they have the technology? Do you have one, or do you have enough? Because you could have a staff at some schools. I know at a large school may have a staff of 200 teachers. You got enough things to facilitate 200 teachers?
And I know some of the okay, so let's talk about some of the things I've heard. I know El Teddy said the hybrid. I know DC Public Schools is thinking about doing a hybrid. They're thinking about Monday, Tuesday in school, Wednesday closed for deep cleaning, Thursday, Friday back in school, and then they would deep clean over the weekend again. I've heard in my district, some of the ideas they've thrown around are a week on, week off. Half a day, the kids, half of the students come from 8 to 12, and then when they break for lunch, the kids go home, and the other half of the kids come in from 12 to 3, whatever whatever the times are. I've heard I heard somebody in my district, and again, this isn't an official thing, saying, listen, we're just going to do the whole first semester from home, and then we'll reevaluate it for January. Like I've heard a lot of these different ideas being bounced around. And of course, the priority is for elementary, because like you guys are saying, it's going to be a lot harder to get elementary kids. I mean, as far as home and the virtual learning from home is a lot harder for them, but it's also a lot harder for social distancing. You know what I'm saying? Like the social distancing is also a lot harder because, like, let's be clear. What 6-year-old is going to not hug and talk and spit and be in each other's face and you know what I'm saying? Like, I was with my nephew on Saturday, and he has discovered his nose, and his finger was in his nose the whole day, and I just kept saying, "Take your finger out your nose. He don't mean no harm. He's 2. He discovered his nose. It has a hole in it. He wants to play with the hole. You know what I mean?" So a room full of kids that is what they do. I don't know how this would work.
I'm thinking about the high schools and middle schools. Even if you say, I'm going to have these students come at this part of the day, these students come at that part of the day, and we could do all of the social distancing in the world, in a perfect world. Baby, when the bell rings and school is released, all of the social distancing you talked about when school gets out and is released is going to be a null and void, because guess what students are going to do when they get out of school? They congregate.
That's true too.
They congregate. That's what they do. You go, you talk to your friends, y'all meet in y'all groups. It's just always congested. God forbid. I ain't even introduced it. I hate to introduce this because we still got to get to the other half of the states. A fire drill.
Listen.
A fire drill. You are mandated by the state to have at least one fire drill a month. Fire drills, you are in close proximity. So now you got to come up with a whole new plans for fire drills. Or active shooter drills. Active shooter drill. You know what's supposed to happen during active shooter drills? Everybody gets together in one area of the classroom. See, these are different things that they have not, or if you're in a state with tornado drills, all of these things require you to be on top of each other.
Yeah. Kaci said, what about the bus rides? And we talked about this earlier on my other YouTube. Earlier the week, we were talking about that with the bus rides. They were saying that they should do every other seat. So again, I can speak for my
every school district in America needs bus drivers. Every single school.
Okay, so then I'll make it a blanket statement. Our kids we couldn't even get our kids to school on time because the bus driver shortage was so bad, and you had bus drivers doubling back so we already were having an issue with getting the kids to school on time, and the bus is picking them up on time. So now you're going to add the fact that not only are they doubling up, so then they got to have to quadruple up because now we got to spread the kids out more. And that's the other thing. And I don't want to be morbid, so I apologize ahead of time. I don't want to trigger nobody, and I don't want to be morbid. But this is a legitimate question. In areas where the virus has hit extremely hard, I know somebody in my chat from New York mentioned this to me one time. New York has lost so many educators. Are they even ready to open up? Do you have enough staff in place to open up? And I'm not trying to be morbid, but that is legit. How many teachers have said they're not coming back? How many teachers have said, I'm just going to go ahead and retire because I'm not doing it? Like, have they looked at those numbers? Are you ready to open up school? Do you have the staff to open up the building?
I listen.
And at the end of the day, and I already know the answer to this question, but I'm just throwing it out there to be facetious. Have you asked any educators what they think? Have you had a conversation with anybody that's on the front line? It's just the same thing with the medical professionals. Are you talking to the medical professionals when you're making these decisions about what should open and what shouldn't open and when things are ready to open? Are you talking to the people who are on the front line and who have the best information? Absolutely not.
The scary part is, and I know we got to get to our second half. The scary part is people are playing politics with people's lives.
Well, they've been doing that from the beginning.
And that is the scary part. And I hope, whereas it was easy for people to throw a blind eye or people not to say anything when schools were closed and when they just say, okay, we're closing down everything. But now that you're talking about sending kids back to schools, when we have places spiking, when it's not just safe, now let's see how people feel now. Because see, like you said, I want to see what's gonna happen when the first, for example, and I got to give the example of some school districts. I know school districts where you will have 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 students in a school, in one high school, and if one person in that high school contracts it, one.
Yeah.
They were even talking about they don't even have the funds to be able to do the amount of cleaning on a daily or bi-weekly or tri-weekly basis that is going to be needed. They don't have the funds to purchase all of the cleaning materials and the things that they're going to need. They just don't have the resources.
And is it going to be available? Remember when we shut down the first time, what was missing? The first thing that came up missing, toilet paper and cleaning supplies. So are the school districts going to have the supplies to maintain a deep cleaning regimen over an extended period of time? Like, let's be real about that. I'm gonna speak for, I know in my district, we closed on March the 13th, Friday the 13th. I will never forget. Friday the 13th was our last day in school. The very next week, we found out that a teacher at one of the high schools in my district died of COVID. There was a second teacher that had contracted it. I believe they ended up recovering. Imagine if the school had stayed open another week and those same two teachers were in that building for another week undetected. Or by the time they realized they were sick, they had already been in the building. So, I mean, we closed down really just enough time to sort of avoid that school becoming an epicenter. But it was a high school. And like you said, El Teddy, it was a high school. I don't know their exact number, but I would go out on a limb to say it's anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 kids at that particular school, knowing the neighborhood in the area. And it's a brand new school. I mean, that school is only about, that particular building is only about 4 years old. So, you know, they made it bigger so they can have more kids. So let's just say it's anywhere between, I probably will go closer to 2,000, but just for the purposes of the conversation, let's say 1,500 kids. Can you imagine?
Don't forget the 200 plus staff and faculty.
Absolutely. So we can let's just bring it up to 2,000. Let's just go on and keep it at 2,000. Can you imagine what possibly could have happened at that school? Let's not talk about the theater school, the elementary school that's down the street where they probably have brothers and sisters. Let's not talk, you know what I mean? It's just, I can only imagine. And like I said, that's all it's going to take is the first reported case at any school, that whole district is going to shut down. So, and then we're right back where we started, where we're behind the 8 ball trying to figure out this virtual learning instead of planning for the virtual learning. I would much rather us be spending our resources right now, making sure that every kid had a laptop, making sure that everybody had a hotspot or access to a hotspot, making sure that teachers coming in the building and if we need to create packets, staggering us coming into the building to get on the copy machine. And I would much rather that be where our energy is right now.
Or even with the school districts saying, you know what, teachers, we're going to virtual. So we're going to provide you all with the same resources and same trainings as we do the virtual. school teachers so that you all have access to do, because they have the means and access to do all of this stuff that you were talking about earlier when you were trying to find stuff and things like that. Really be, they have all of that. They just is, earmarked, and the monies are relegated toward the virtual school teachers and the virtual schools, as opposed to the face-to-face traditional schools. But I don't want to keep belaboring the point. Let me get through the list and then we can go from there.
Go ahead and finish. I was going to say
an hour already.
We had an hour, and I know El Teddy has to get ready to go to work, y'all. We got up early this morning so we could get a show out. At least I know I got up early this morning. So El Teddy, you can go ahead and finish the list.
Okay, we're on the ends. In Nebraska, the Nebraska Department of Education has launched the Nebraska website. Has a launched Nebraska website that will provide guidance on districts returning to in-person instruction. Omaha Public Schools has said that on June 26th, the district unveiled a plan to divide students into two groups, with each attending in-person school for half of the week. Lincoln Public Schools says that they have plans to have students return in the fall, but could reduce the number of students attending in-person instruction to maintain social distancing. Millard Public Schools, the superintendent, Jim Sufton, said the district intends to open buildings for the fall on Monday, August 10th. He wrote, hold on, I don't know what's being said to me. Oh, Lord. He wrote that in the letter. They intend for all workers to report to work on August 10th. In Nevada, Governor Steve Sisolak signed a directive on June 7th, enabling Nevada schools to reopen buildings and athletic facilities. Clark County School District has said the district is still in the deliberation stages. Currently, the district is proposing a hybrid model consisting of 2 in-person classroom days and 3 days of remote learning. Washoe County School District has said the district's Board of Trustees approved a plan to return to school for the 2020 school year if COVID-19 levels remain low and if the Nevada State Board of Education approves the reopening plan. Middle schools and high schools intend to operate at 50% capacity, with students attending in-person instruction for half the week. Did I read Clark County? Yes, I did. Elko County School District said a reopening task force formed in early June, but they have not made a decision yet. The district is surveying families about reopening schools and remote learning challenges along with health parameters. In New Hampshire, Governor Chris Sununu stated that he hopes to have a definitive answer on the issue of schools reopening by mid-July. A reopening proposal is pending approval by the state epidemiologist. Manchester School District does not have an official plan yet. Nashua School District says it is poised for a hybrid model and is in the process of getting Chromebooks in the hands of every student. Concord School District says that a task force is still in the discussion phases, but members are considering a hybrid model for the fall. In New Jersey, Governor Phil Murphy and the Department of Education Commissioner Lamont Repollet, I don't know, released the Road Back Restart and Recovery Plan for Education on June 26. The report stated that public schools will open for in-person instruction, quote, in some capacity at the beginning of the 2021 school year. It also outlined that schools must allow for social distancing and require face coverings in their district proposals. Newark Public Schools says they do not have an official plan as of yet. East Orange School District says on its website that it has its first full day of school scheduled for September 8th, but it has yet to release a comprehensive return plan. Irvington Public School Districts, according to their superintendent, Christopher Harrison, stated that they need, quote, more voices at the table and much more time, end quote, to craft a plan. In New Mexico, Before July 4th, Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham said that if the state takes the necessary precautions and drives down the rate of COVID-19 cases, schools can reopen in the fall. No date has been issued for the reopening. Albuquerque Public Schools said that with its school year typically beginning August 12th, interim superintendent Scott Elder said they will have a plan by August 1st. The district has yet to reveal any of those proposals. Las Cruces Public Schools said that along with a reentry task force, Superintendent Dr. Karen Trujillo said that the district plans to begin the year with a hybrid model with a maximum 50% attendance policy. As a preventative measure, the district is asking parents to immunize their children before August 12th. Rio Rancho Public Schools has said that they have yet to release any plans for the fall. They are still awaiting more information. In New York, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio announced on June 1st that the public schools will not fully reopen come September. Instead, students will attend in-person classes 2 to 3 days a week and also have an online option. Governor Andrew Cuomo said that he, not the mayor or the president, will decide the fate of New York schools for the fall. And that means he could overturn de Blasio's decision. In a briefing, he said the state will issue guidance and reopen on reopening by today, July 13th. So y'all see a lot of states have today as one of their dates. So you need to go after you get off of here and look and see what your state is saying. In North Carolina, Governor Roy Cooper warned on June 9th that as COVID-19 cases rise in his state, public school openings could be delayed from the state's initial August school start times. Wake County said that the public school system, that the school board voted to initiate the state's, quote, Plan B option for school reopening. The plan entails dividing the school district's student body into 3 rotating groups, similar to other states' hybrid models. Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools has said the district has various reopening plans for when fall instruction is set to resume. They have strategies for full reopening, a partial reopening, and a fully remote model. Guilford County Schools has said on Tuesday, June 7th, that the district approved 2 plans for virtual learning, and that I don't have those plans here, but you should probably check with your school district's website. But it does say that they have 2. In North Dakota, Governor Doug Burgum voiced his support for reopening of schools. If they do open school buildings, he said testing will be a large factor. The governor and the North Dakota Department of Public Instruction plan to release a statewide guideline by mid-July. Bismarck School District Number 1 has stated that the district intends to move forward with reopening. In a survey posed to the families, 87% supported the plan. Fargo Public Schools has stated that they will be granting students the option of continuing online distance learning or attending in-person classes, so long as Burgum allows online instruction. West Fargo Public Schools has stated that the district has not made any official plans known, but on its website, it states that the school, quote, is prepared for whatever comes at us in the 2021 school year, end quote. In Ohio, in a news release, Governor Mike DeWine issued guidance for schools to reopen. The Ohio Department of Education created a plan that includes consideration around mask wearing, and enforcement of safety precautions. Each district will make its own decision, though. Columbus City School District said on June 30th that the district announced that high school students will continue remote learning full-time, while students from pre-K through 8th grade will attend school 3 days a week and do 2 days of online learning. Cleveland Municipal School District said no formal statement has been made yet regarding the district's decision. Cincinnati School District said on its website that the district outlined a comprehensive plan for returning to school in the fall. It includes a blended learning model with in-person classes for 2 to 3 days a week. the option remains for students to continue remote learning. In Oklahoma, the Oklahoma State Department of Education has published Return to Learn Oklahoma, a framework for reopening schools, which includes proposals for how districts could safely return to in-person instruction. Oklahoma City Public Schools said that the district is preparing to return in-person schooling with a virtual option for parents who are not comfortable sending their children back to school. Tulsa Public Schools has said the Tulsa Board of Education released its school calendar with a start date of August 31st for in-person classes. They also outlined, quote, distance learning days on Wednesdays, end quote, meaning that students can participate in distance learning, but children requiring additional tutoring can come into the school on that day. Edmond Public Schools has stated that the district is poised to return to in-person school learning on August 13th, with the provision in place that they may need to close schools if an outbreak arises. As a contingency plan, the district has a hybrid and completely remote model. In Oregon, last week, Governor Kate Brown extended the state emergency of education over the COVID-19 pandemic for an additional 60 days. June 7 marked the first meeting of Brown's, quote, Healthy Schools Reopening Council, end quote, which will work to decide on school opening. Portland Public Schools said it is waiting on guidance from the Oregon Department of Education. Salem Kaiser School District said, according to its website, that the district is working to, quote, finalize details, end quote, for the 2021 school year. Beaverton School District has said Beaverton is offering parents two options. Students can do a hybrid model with in-person learning in smaller groups alternating with remote learning, or they can enroll in a fully online education program. Pennsylvania. Governor Tom Wolf announced that for districts deciding to return to the classroom, mask wearing is mandatory unless there is room for physical distancing. Philadelphia School District has stated, according to Superintendent William Height Jr., that by mid-July, the district will finalize its plan for in-person classes. He added that not all students will likely be returning. Pittsburgh School District said that the district has yet to unveil a final plan, but Superintendent Anthony Hamlet said that there will be a full-time online learning component. There is also a potential for a hybrid model. Central Bucks School District said that the district issued a survey returning to in-person instruction, but the final plan will likely be determined at the board's July 28th meeting. That plan could include in-person and remote options. Hold on, let me take a moment. I know we have some big states coming up, so let me get myself prepared.
Lord have mercy.
What was that? What state did we just do? Pennsylvania?
Yes, that was Pennsylvania.
Because we still have states like South Carolina, Texas, and stuff like that. And I know
said earlier that South Carolina has some of the highest numbers in the country. Like, it's crazy.
Whew, a lot. I'm sorry, y'all. In Rhode Island, Governor Gina Raimondo issued let me say this, I've been reading a lot of, I see we have a lot more women governors, which is good.
Well, you know, there was that whole surge after Hillary Clinton. You know, that those midterm elections, women dominated those midterm elections.
I'm here for it. Go, women, go. Governor Gina Raimondo issued a back-to-school document with the Rhode Island Department of Education and Department of Health. The goal is to achieve 100% in-person instruction with COVID-19 health and safety guidelines. See how that happens. Providence Public Schools stated that Superintendent Harrison Peters is weighing three alternatives for returning to school. The first option would have students arriving at 4 different start times to their normal school. Option 2 would have K through 5 students attending the school closest to home, while 6 through 8 students attend their current school. Option 3 would have all students attending the nearest school. That's interesting because we didn't even talk about the fact that will they do away with magnet schools and stuff like that where students have to travel to.
Oh, I didn't even. That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Different thing. We didn't even think about that. Cranston Public Schools issued 4 proposals for the 2021 school year, ranging from full in-person lessons to full distance learning. Warwick Public School District has yet to make any decision on reopening, but it will submit a fall plan by July 17th. As you all can see, this is a very important week for a lot of districts around the country. So make sure that you're looking at your websites this week. South Carolina, on July 8th, a subcommittee of South Carolina Senate met to deliberate school openings for the fall. Members discussed the potential for virtual and in-person classes. Most districts have yet to make a decision. Greenville County School Districts has not made a decision yet, but the athletics are unable to resume workouts with high local rates of COVID-19 cases. Charleston County School District has stated that the district is hoping to return to in-person instruction in the fall, but it is offering a full-time virtual learning program. Horry County, love that name, Horry County Public Schools stated on July 19th that the Horry County School Chairman Ken Richardson said he will ask the school board to delay the start of school to September 8th and that his final back-to-school plans will not be issued until July 27th. In South Dakota, Governor Kristi Noem said that students will be returning in the fall, but is leaving the details to each district. Sioux Falls School District announced that they plan for students to return to in-person education on the August 27th start date, but their precautionary measures remain largely unknown to the public. The district has stated that it will strongly recommend face coverings, but will not require them in the fall. Rapid City Area School District stated that a blended learning model is in the works for the school district in which parents can determine whether students will attend in-person classes. Harrison School District does not have any information on the school district decision for the fall as of yet. Tennessee, Governor Bill Lee recently extended a state of emergency through August 29th. Even so, he is hoping that students can safely return to in-person classrooms. I don't know how that makes sense. Shelby County Schools District released a detailed plan for the 2021 school year on July 6th. Parents have until July 18th to determine if they want to send their children to school or have them enroll in an online option, but both are set to start on August 13th. Metro Nashville Public Schools is set to open on August 4th. The district announced its decision to start the year in a virtual setting until Labor Day, at which point it will reevaluate. Knox County Schools have stated that students are poised to head back to school next month, but decisions have yet to be made or finalized on what precautions the district will take in returning to school buildings. In Texas, on June 18th, June 18th marked the decision to reopen public schools for in-person instruction made by Governor Greg Abbott. A spokesperson for the Texas Education Agency added that students will be required to wear masks or subject to COVID-19 testing when they return, or be subject to COVID-19 testing when they return in the fall. Houston Independent School District stated that parents and students in this district will have to wait for July 15th when plans to reveal new details about the upcoming school year will be released. Dallas Independent School District announced on Twitter on the website that the Board of Trustees will meet later in July to discuss an alternative start date for the 2021 school year. In fact, earlier, Superintendent Mikhail Hinojosa said an August opening is, quote, pretty much in jeopardy, end quote. Cypress Fairbanks Independent School District, while it still needs to finalize plans for the school year, the district will likely have face-to-face learning and virtual instruction. If you are in Texas, let me say this. Texas is the type of state where they have independent school districts, so you could have one county with 8 school districts. You have counties where every single city or town has their own independent school districts. So that's not even on a county thing. That is in a municipality level. So you really, if you are in Texas, need to check your the school district and your independent individual schools. In Utah, Governor Gary Herbert has ordered on July 9th that all K through 12 schools in the state must require face coverings. However, he did not extend this mandate to everyone in Utah. Last week, he approved the Board of Education's plan for reopening of schools in the fall. Alpine School District plans for in-person classes to begin August 18th are on August 18th, as well as online options being announced on July 6th. Davis School District has stated that they recently outlined their intention to return to in-person instruction with a plan known as, quote, the Big Five. The name refers to the five main safety precautions: hygiene etiquette, staying home when sick, cloth face mask, physical distancing, clean, and disinfect. Granite School District has stated that prior to Governor Herbert's July 9th mandate, the district required face masks for employees, but only strongly encouraged them for students. Further plans will be made over the next few weeks. In Vermont, we're almost done, y'all. We are almost done. Sorry, y'all. In Vermont, last month, Vermont officials and Governor Phil Scott gave approval for K-12 schools to reopen in the fall. As part of the initiative, students and staff will be subject to daily temperature checks, and districts need to have alternatives in the event schools need to close. Champlain Valley School District has stated that they have yet to publicize that their plan for reopening the fall. In Burlington School District, New Burlington School District Superintendent Tom Flanagan outlined a 100-day plan for the school district's reopening set for August 26th. Among the comprehensive plan, the task force said that students will not eat lunch in the cafeteria and will need to wear masks and undergo temperature screenings. South Burlington School District has not yet released their plan, but will likely include mandatory face coverings, temperature checks, and reduction of students in a given classroom. I don't know how that's going to happen, but we'll see. The Virginia Department of Education, along with Governor Ralph Northam, issued guidelines in June for relaxed opening of schools with proper social distancing and safety precautions. Currently, the plan is a blended model and with virtual and physical learning, although the goal is to achieve in-person classes for all. Fairfax, Virginia Public Schools, the county school board has delayed the start of school. The county school board has delayed the start of fall instruction by 2 weeks, from August 25th to September 8th. The hope is that in doing so, the board will have more time to plan the safest return for in-person classes. Prince William County Public Schools, the district has outlined 4 plans and has said that some form of remote learning is guaranteed. The plan of actions range from a completely remote experience to a return to normalcy, albeit with social distancing practices in place. Loudoun
County.
Loudoun, thank you, because I was like, ooh. Loudoun County Public Schools, as with Fairfax County Public Schools, announced on July 8th that they would table its return to school method discussion to July 15th at 8 a.m. Right now, the options are 100% virtual learning or a hybrid model similar to many other districts. In the great state of Washington, with no definite verdict on school openings one way or another, Governor Jay Inslee said that the decision will be made by the state of Washington, not the White House. Inslee said he is hopeful schools can return to in-person instruction, but only if it can be done safely. Seattle Public Schools Board has stated that has presented a 50-page reopening plan that primarily discusses the possibility of a hybrid model, blending remote and physical learning. Spokane School District board members are hoping to have Students return to classrooms by September 3rd, but are presenting multiple plans for parents who feel uncomfortable with the notion of their children coming back to schools. In Lake Washington County School District, according to the district's Twitter page, they are strongly considering a hybrid model that would combine in-person class time with virtual distance learning. Under this method, all kindergarten and first grade students would attend school daily. West Virginia, we got three more, y'all. Three more. I know my mouth getting cotton mouth. In West Virginia, during a press briefing, Governor Jim Justice said he is hoping to reopen school buildings in all 55 counties for in-person instruction by the tentative date of September 8th. As part of this, anyone over age 9 must wear a face covering. Kanawha County Public School District has released a survey to gauge the interest and concern from parents regarding in-person classroom learning. From the survey results, the board will finalize a decision. Berkeley County Public Schools. On June 23rd, board members and Cane Bay High School Assistant Principal Dr. Taylor Bradley presented a blended learning model in which students would participate in live online classes with teachers streaming on Google Meets. Cabell County Schools, the district is working on a plan that would see students returning to a 5-day in-person school week. However, they have a backup hybrid model. Final decisions will not be made until mid-July. In the state of Wisconsin, Governor Tony Evers has left the decision for school reopening to each individual district. However, he added in a press briefing on July 7th, he believes in-person class time is preferable. Milwaukee School District, the district is weighing numerous options. If virtual learning remains, the district assured parents that every student would be equipped with the proper technology. With the what money? Madison Metropolitan Public Schools, the district has only a preliminary plan for reopening schools in the fall. A news release from the school district outlined 3 options: an all remote learning environment, an all in-person learning environment, and a hybrid model. Kenosha School District started deliberations back on June 19th and so far has not announced any plans. And the last state, in Wyoming, under the guidance of Governor Mark Gordon, the COVID-19 Education Task Force released its Smart Start Plan to get students back in the classroom. School districts must submit their own Smart Start plans to the Department of Education by August 3rd. Laramie County School District number 1, they announced that they are hoping to start school, quote, as normal or as normal as we can, end quote. Superintendent Boyd Brown said that the district will be implementing a remote option as well. Natrona County School District number 1 has no official plan, and Campbell County School District number 1 also has no official plan. And that are all of the states. I don't think that I covered the District of Columbia.
Because it's not a state.
I know.
But I know. I'm just saying that to you. I was just saying in general. Are they even on the list? Is the District of Columbia even on that list?
It's not on that one, but okay. I'm looking at the other lists that we have. The one from Johns Hopkins does have the District of Columbia plan.
I'm almost certain that there hasn't been an official plan. Like I said, I heard what they want to do, but I do not think there's been an official plan. I know they sent out a survey. So I'm fairly comfortable in saying that there is no official plan right now for DC. So a couple of things, and then we're going to get ready to wrap this up. I was paying attention to the chat while El Teddy was going through that. And thank you, El Teddy, for getting the MVP of the day, sir. You did that. You said you did that.
I got cotton mouth. I need something to drink.
The link is for those of you that came in late and you didn't hear your state or what have you. The link will be in the description box of where he just read that information from. But again, I must reiterate, this information is always changing. So anything, the best information would be to go directly to your school's website or district's website And like I said, follow them on social media, because I know I get a lot of updates for my district through social media, and it gets to me through Twitter faster than anything else, especially if I'm not on my email. Two things. I see a couple of people asking about special education services, and those are excellent questions. And what I'm going to say to you is I'm going to reach out to our resident special ed expert, Discovering Dez, who was in here earlier. I don't know if he's still in here or not. If you are Dez, I will be reaching out to you. And the next time we schedule a time, I'm going to reach out to you to see if maybe you can come on and address, because those are legitimate questions that I don't know the answer to. I know that they have that special ed teachers have continued to do IEP meetings. I know that they've continued to modify lesson plans, but as far as services that require a face-to-face situation, especially things like speech therapy, I see what Miss Old School is talking about. Nikki and Miss Old School are talking about specific social emotional development skills that their children, that their students, their children, excuse me, need. I don't know the answer to that question. And so rather than me try to guess, I can say to you that we will reach out to, if Des can't do it, we'll reach out to some other friends of ours who do special education and see if they can come on and try to address those as questions, because those are very specific questions and very good questions. The second thing I want to say is Miss NY, was it NYW? That's kind of what we've been talking about. You said all these months and no definitive plans, because everything is constantly changing. The numbers are constantly going up. And now you have the White House trying to bully states into doing something that they may or may not be ready to do. And we kind of were talking about that. And so a lot of schools don't have a plan because, again, a school is just not set up to be a place where people social distance. It's just, and there's no money to do it. Like, there's some school districts that just need, there's no way they'd be able to do it in the building that they have. It's just not possible. And there's no money to really do a lot of things that need to be done. So anyway, with that being said, you guys, please, 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 the email is ticking at the bottom of the screen. I promised El Teddy we would do an hour. It's been an hour and a half. He has got to get ready to go to work, you guys. It's been a great.
And I gotta get some lubrication for my
now,
throat.
right now he has to go drink some water for about 10 minutes. But the conversation has been a great conversation. We had a good number. I watched the numbers of views. People are watching our videos. Our subscriber numbers going up, but we've got way more views than we have subscribers. And for that, thank you, because I know you guys are sharing it. I see today people shared it on their Facebook and their LinkedIn and all of that. So thank you so much for sharing and spreading the word. I hope that we can, now that we sort of have some things in order, we told you guys we were taking a hiatus. We are back, and so we can bring you guys a more regular content on a more regular basis now. And like I said, I will reach out to a special education expert to speak on that aspect for the next time we come to you guys. Oh, Teddy, as always, I'll give you the last word, and I'm shutting up.
I don't even know that I have any last word. I need to give you the last word. Definitely, it's always a labor of love, because we definitely know that education is important to our community as people of color. Not just people of color, just as a human species, education is important. And so anything that we can do to promote education and to get you the best information that we can, we will do that. So yes, definitely, I will go and drink some water and some stuff to help my throat and my cotton mouth. But definitely, thank you all for being here. And as we stated, continue to reach out to your school district. As you can see around the country, this is a very important week for a lot of school districts. Because we called it months ago. Remember, we said July 15th is an important date that you wanted to circle to make sure that you had information. And so, knowing what we know about school districts, we definitely wanted to make sure that you were informed. And it was good that we got here today, as opposed to later in the week to get it done, because we were even, we were going back and forth. Well, when are we going to be able to get it done? So I'm kind of glad that we were able to do that today. The websites that we gave you all also, are doing their best to keep themselves up to date. So they will be updating the information on those websites as it comes out. So do that. And I think that is all that I have.
Thank you. Peace.